All righty, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh, how is it going? What did we think of that race? Give me a rating out of 10. What you thought of the race. We can talk broadcast and all that in a bit. I know everybody is already talking about that, and we will get to it, I promise. But first, let's talk about the racing, the reason that we are all here, what we actually want to talk about. Connor Zilisch. I changed the title because there was that awesome battle between Connor Zilisch and Quapple to like the rookies race, because it was the rookies race. Those two were probably the fastest, I would say, all in all at the end of the race. But it was the original title that I should have left up there. It was Connor Zilisch's race to lose, and he damn near lost it. But he is just that good at these tracks that it was going to be hard to beat him if he didn't make another major mistake. I think a really well-run race by Zilich's teammate, the one of Carson Quaffle, but he just, burned up the tires. And I'm seeing a lot of 7s, 8s. I know everyone wants to talk about it. We'll talk about it later on about the broadcast, but let me know what you thought of the broadcast in there as well out of 10. Go on off about it. But, and apologies, by the way, I had a bunch of habanero salsa during the race while I was watching, and I get it. I'm a lightweight, but I have not had anything close to that since I started the new diet. So if the voice sounds a little off or I'm having to drink a lot of water, that's why. But I'm seeing mixed results for the broadcast. Again, we'll talk about that in a bit. The big story is Connor Zilisch, who is just going to be the one to beat all year at these Xfinity races. I can't remember. Did I make a prediction about him on NWP this past week? No, I did not. I don't think I did. No. I have a prediction coming up this week, so tune in on Eric's channel this Wednesday. But let's get into it. Connor Zilisch, of course, the winner. After him, it is William Byron in the second spot, then Sam Mayer, Austin Hill, Christian Eckes, the top 5, then Love, Taylor Gray, Chastain, Sawalich, and Blaine Perkins with a good top 10 finish today. That's your top 10. Then Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, I believe. Yes, Creed finished in the 12th spot. Then Riley Herbst, Alex LeBay, Josh Williams, the top 15. Then Ellis, Dye, Thompson, Ryan Sieg, and Poole, the top 20. After that, we got Alfredo, Balicki, Carson Quapple, 23rd. On my end, he's being interviewed right now. Definitely not a position he deserved to finish in. He deserved to finish much higher, but ultimately burned the tires off, and that's what did it for him. But was racing for the win up there. 23rd place finish, all he has to show for it. I think 2 weeks in a row he's finished 23rd. Then Nick Sanchez, Jeb Burton, Green, Kyle Sieg, Clements, Allgaier, and Jones at top 30. After that, we have Corey Heim, 31st, to Benedetto. That is your lead lap guys, 32nd on up. Then 33rd, Chris Wright, a lap down. After this, the rest, I believe, are out, this being Sage Karam in the 34th spot. Harrison Burton, 35th. Pardis, 36th. Legisman, I think is how you said it, in 37th. And Carson Hocevar finishes last, to the happiness of many probably drivers out there. Results will be on the bottom. And I got to say this, though. Yeah. Zilisch today, just absolutely great, even without running a great race. That was a very poorly run race on his part. A lot of mistakes, a lot of over-aggression at different points. And if this is him at his worst, that is something scary, I think, for a lot of the field at these road courses. Now, a lot of talk about him making the Cup start. I don't think he's going to go out there and win that, but I do think he might be able to run top 5. And if you give him in position, he might be able to challenge those guys up there. Tomorrow, I think a little more stacked than today was, even with all the Cup guys out there. But you look at the names he beat today. I mean, he beat William Byron out there. He beat Ross Chastain, beat his teammate head to head. I mean, there were some really good names in this field today. So I like this. Been a Zillbilly since early summer 2024. Quapple with the fastest lap. Thank you for that. I'm going to just write that on my end. So fastest lap was Carson Quapple. That's going to be some needed points with how kind of poor the start of the year has been. I like that. Zilisch is the live action Lightning McQueen, which is funny you say that because if I'm not mistaken, let me see. What day did Cars come out? June 9th, 2006. What day was Connor Zilisch born? July 22nd, 2006. So actually, Lightning McQueen is older than Connor Zilisch. I knew that that was like one of the things that was the case. I didn't realize it was like that month, like a month or more longer between. So, I mean, absolutely crazy for sure. Yeah, I gotta say though, I mean, it is seeming like that, and you're gonna see a lot of people hype Connor Zilisch up, and a lot of people are gonna get annoyed with it. And all I say with that is trust the process. If he stumbles at any point, especially in the ovals, which I don't think he's actually going to struggle all that much at them. I was at Kansas last year. The dude was driving sideways, waving at the fans at the infield, coming out of turn 4, and he still, I think, finished in the top 5 or 3 or something like that. He's going to be really good this year. And when he can iron more of that out, remember, he's 18. The kid is really, really young. And I can say that I'm almost a decade older than him. The kid is young. The process needs to be trusted on this one. He's got great surroundings on all counts. He could very well be a superstar. He could be that kind of once in a decade kind of talent. I don't want to crown him champion of anything just yet because that's still a long way to go, and it's a long way to go to be the dominant force outside of the road courses. But it's clear that he has a ton of talent. So just saying, got to definitely watch that coming through. Again, I got to give all the props though too as well to Carson Quapple. You know, I said it before, I'll say it again. He burned his tires off. He's going to definitely learn from that. But to keep up and race against the 88 as well as he did is impressive. And he's going to be really good at the short tracks. He's going to be really good and improve through the season. He's got great equipment, great foundation. Dale Earnhardt Jr. And co, they believe in him. There's no reason to think that he's not going to be ultra competitive through the year. I mean, the rookie class in general, I think there's 8 rookies this year in the NASCAR Xfinity series, and a good portion, if not all of them, have a ton of upside to look for. So there is that. Yeah, I mean, I think he will be very good next week. I think the Xfinity series this year is wide open. I think it is wide open. I mean, I'm looking through the field, and I think that Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier will probably be the veterans you got to beat this year. Creed's going to be pretty good. Mayer will be fast when he's not ending up out. I mean, he finished 3rd today. Sam Mayer, a quiet 3rd place finish for him today. So he'll be very good. But I really think that this thing is wide open. And when you add in the fact that both the RCR guys are in, so Love, I think, will improve as the year goes on too. You got Zilisch in. I mean, that's 3 spots already in the first 3 races. And with how wide open it is, there could be an off chance that we do have more than 12 winners. And granted, a lot of Cup guys will probably come in. Though the Cup guys will get their share of wins at different points during the year. I get it's minimized and all that. Austin Hill today, 4th place finish. It looked like with less than 20 laps to go, he might have actually been in position to win this race. He is a very underrated road course driver. Everyone calls him a super speedway merchant, and I get why, but he is still pretty damn good. RCR is very good. So there's no reason to think that he's not going to be competing just about everywhere this year with that 21 machine. Also in the top 10, had to save fuel, lost a few positions in doing it, but great run by Taylor Gray. A lot of people gave him flack for being that 54. Why aren't there other guys in there? This is a type of finish and race that he needs, I think, is validation for why he's in that car. Blaine Perkins, talked about him earlier, a top 10 finish today in that 31 machine. Another one that people were very much questioning. Why is he in there? You won't see him high up in the finishing order. He's about to go down to the bottom of the screen right now. Harrison Burton, before they had whatever issues they had, whether it was power or whatnot. That 25 machine in AM Racing was a top 10 to 12 car for a good part of this day. Won a stage as well, ran pretty good throughout the majority of the day, kept the car clean. Those are the runs Harrison Burton and AM Racing both need, because AM Racing last year, complete disaster in every single way. That 25 team. So it's okay. Snappy says, heard in the radio, the 25 broke an axle. Sometimes, as a driver, I think with that, you really can't help too much. I mean, maybe it was something he did during the race that weakened it or something. But overall, I mean, great run race by them, just not getting the positions that they needed to finish. And looking right now, I'm just going to take a picture of it because we got already the points up on the CW, which will give them credit. This early in the year, this needs to be happening just because we should be keeping track of this stuff when it comes to who's putting themselves in position to that run for the summer. So yeah, 21, 2, 88 all in. And you got the usual suspects up there too. Creed, Mayer, Allgaier, Sammy Smith doing pretty good so far early on in that 8 car. Jeb Burton up there, Taylor Gray, Eckes, another one today. Finishes top 5, 5th place finish, help from AJ Allmendinger, something that I think that he desperately needs, colleague desperately needs. They need these young guys to perform. I made the prediction this week. A lot of people say I make these layup predictions. I think across the board, and they still need to prove me wrong, they need to have winning speed. I think across the board, colleague's not going to win a race, Xfinity or Cup this year. They might be able to sneak one, but I really don't have the faith in them of doing that. So to get a top 5 today in that 16 machine shows that the team has the speed here just as much as AJ did last year. Maybe not as much as AJ because I think Eckes still has a bit of a way to go, but still really, really good run on his part. I mean, Josh Williams, top 15. That's a run that he needs. He just needs to put together solid runs. Danny Dye, 17th place. He was running top 15 for a lot of this race at different points too. That's the ebb and the flow of these road course races. But you kind of look on the bubble cut line. I know it's very early to look at it, but Taylor Gray, Eckes, Harrison Burton still up there because of the stage win +5, and then Carson Kvapilin, guys on the outside looking in. Sawalich, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements, Josh Williams. Those are going to be guys looking on the outside for a majority of it. Talking about Ryan Sieg here. Where did he finish? It's probably on the bottom of the screen as I'm talking about it. 19th place today. And in the second stage, I believe it was, yes, he finished 5th when he was running 2nd. He ended up getting a course cutting penalty, had to do a stop and go, loses 3 spots, 3 points. Those 3 points at the moment would be the difference between him being in or out. I get it's early, but later in the season, those kind of mistakes, they add up. And I think the 39 team can win races this year. I think that they can sneak up there and do it still. I think that the 39 team overall, points-wise, can stay in the fight. But again, this is the difference a lot of times between mistakes and well-run races, between overcoming mistakes and falling behind because of them. So, those are the things that later in the year we're going to have to talk about come playoff time, come late in the summer when everyone's crunching points. Just wanted to point that out. I know it's early. Like Fox is never going to probably show the playoff grid and the plus minus on the cut line or anything because it's early in the season and it doesn't matter to them. They already got their race in the Daytona 500 done, so they don't care about the rest of the year for the most part. That's a whole nother side tangent. And don't get me wrong, we'll talk CW in a little bit. But racing wise today, I'll put a poll up on it. Personally, I was not really pro changing when it came to the layout. But I'll put it, which layout did you like more? And I'll put new and old, if I can spell new. It's amazing. And my grasp on the English language is not the greatest. I gotta say though, I liked it. I did like it. And the race to me did feel like it had more of a quick atmosphere to it. to me. It felt like the pace was definitely faster, obviously faster laps, the shorter course, all of that. You know, shorter full, I get it. You know, new, old. We're just looking at NASCAR terms. But I did actually really like it, and I thought there were some pretty good areas to pass. I do miss the corners that we've kind of cut out with it, unfortunately. Not the greatest cutting corners, I guess. But I did like it. I want to see how it is for the Cup Series. I think at the end of the day, that's what matters the most on it. And I have a feeling that on top of the racing side of it, part of the reason they probably cut it down that way is so that tomorrow, because you're not going to go to a part of the track you can't see the race. Tomorrow, I'm guaranteeing you it's going to look more packed because a lot of the people that be on one half of the track are going to have to be on the other half. Optics is everything. I think the racing was the primary part, but I think this is going to be an added benefit they definitely took into consideration. 3 straight weeks of pretty packed Cup races. I'm imagining it's going to be pretty good. Probably 60 to 80,000 roughly. I mean, that's the estimates in general. Sometimes it might be a little lower, a little higher than the 60,000 number. But COTA, telling you what, if you're not crazy about road course racing in general, give COTA a chance. Ton of fun to be at in person. I was there in the monsoon weekend in 2021. Absolute insanity. I was uncomfortable as hell being sunburnt and then having a sweatshirt on that got rained on and stuck to my burnt skin. But it was worth it. The whole weekend was worth it. It was a blast. I implore you, if you have the chance next year or even tomorrow, go to this race. Ton of fun to be at in person. Totally different atmosphere to what Fox gives you on the television side of it. But looking at some of the things, you know, big kind of things in the race here. Zilisch was off and away early on in this race. The first caution, though, was Carson Hocevar. He got bumped into the tire barrier by Jeb Burton. I appreciate Hocevar's interview. And I know this is probably for a lot of people scraping the bottom of the barrel, like, oh, he gave a good interview, good for him. But he kind of fully explained, not kind of, he fully explained the position that he was in that 14 machine, and the sense of it where it sounded like he had no radio back and forth, so he had no spotter, didn't know what he was doing. I heard Jeb Burton over the radio saying that he was done getting his nose cut off, and Hocevar had openly admitted he probably cut some people's noses off. He didn't realize how close he was to really anyone. I really can't blame him too much for that, but I guarantee you there's going to be a loud crowd pop to him being the first caution like that. There's no way that it wasn't popular. He's been pretty unpopular this past week, even if outside of the Blaney incident, it's probably not deserved. So Hocevar, the first incident, now everyone can kind of get that out of their system and roll from there. But early on in this race, even with the restarts, Ross Chastain challenged the 88. They come from the same place, pretty even cars. He got ahead of him at one point, and then on the outside at the start of the S's, Zilisch just ran off, got ahead of him, took the lead. And so at the end of the stage, because there was a spin. Quapple actually ended up spinning early in this race with Creed and Sanchez. I did write that down as well. But towards the end of the stage is where we saw one of the big kind of turns of this race. First off, you had a ton of people pitting early, trying to flip the stages. Smart move, I would say, especially for those up front. You wanted to keep that track position regardless of where you're at. But when the 35 ends up stopping on the track, Connor Zilisch comes into the pits. He misses it by 0.9 of a second. When I mean miss it, I mean he misses getting in while it was still green by that. Because he went in, pitted under a yellow, he would then have to go to the tail end of the field on the ensuing restart. William Byron wins the stage over Chastain, and then Heim, first one to score stage points, I believe then would be Mayer in fourth, Allgaier, Hill, Eckes, Sammy Smith, Alfredo, and LeBay. The top 10. Stage 2 rolls around, and you got the 54 and the 2 up front because of the way that a lot of that stuff switched when it came to flipping stages, some pitting, some staying out. And with that, Love would grab the lead for a bit. Herbst was up there. Riley Herbst, I think, had a really good run as well. All things considered, I get that he finished 13th, but he was running in the top 10 in a lot of it. A lot of stuff got shuffled late in the race because of speeding penalties. I think Herbst got one. I think Chastain, if I'm not mistaken, got one. But in the second stage, you had I believe one caution due to the tire barrier getting hit, and that was by Clements. But from there, the only major stuff of incident for the most part was Justin Allgaier having a major tire rub, and then having a flat after that completely takes Allgaier out of the race. Yeah, that's right. Riley Jimmy Johnson Herps. That's right. Yes, we have to keep comparing him to Jimmy Johnson, right? Um, we have, again, our resident Canadians in the field, and uh, Connor, there's a Connor Zilisch fans for sure. No blaming you on that one. He's a hell of a driver. But at the end of the stage, a lot of others pit. That's when, again, we have the 90, I believe the 91, 00, 19, the 9, a lot of them, pitting, having speeding issues, just really, really rough, because they were guys who were in contention. They were competing up front and could stay up, maybe not with Zilisch, but with the rest of them. And with Zilisch being further back in the field, it still seemed to be anyone's race. But because of so many, again, this is also where the 39 lost a lot of spots. Because of so many pitting, we have a topsy-turvy stage end. Harrison Burton, AM Racing, win the stage. Then Danny Dye, so Michael Waltrip somewhere, is celebrating. I guarantee there is no end. I like this one. I like the Zillbillies. I honestly think that's a really good name for a fan base. It's funny, plays on the name. I like it. I hope that sticks. But yeah, Harrison Burton, Danny Dye, Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton, Ryan Sieg, then Poole, Williams, LeBay, Karam, and Kyle Sieg, the top 10. Because of all the switching and swerving and everything else in the field, 20 to go. We get it back going the final stage. It's the 1 versus 17 on the restart. The 88 dives in, hits the 1. Everyone washes up. And Austin freaking Hill, who's been running between probably 6th and 8th all race long, because, though, of having a great crew, that 21 crew is probably the best in the Xfinity series, is able to sneak by because of the positions he gained on pit road, get up to the lead. And because of the positions he's always able to gain, he gets a top 5 when he probably should only get a top 10 today. Again, NASCAR is a team sport. Love or hate Hill, I get it. Everyone's going to be calling him the big bully. You got to admit, that entire team is very well put together at this point. Driver, team, crew chief, all of it. They are very well put together. But at this point, we're setting it up. We're setting up the battle between Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilisch. So many C's in the names right now. It's just, I already have problems speaking. But with 14 to go or so, they get by the 21, and it's on. You have the 88 making mistakes. He's hit a couple of guys so far at this point. So he's got a bit of a fender flare. He's got a tire rub, and it is just a back and forth. Kvapil ahead of him. He opens the door. Zilisch gets by, but he is able to stick with the 88. The 88 and the 1 are kind of going back and forth, but as the run goes, Zilisch gets into a rhythm, starts pulling it away a little bit. And with 5 to go, right front goes down on the 1 machine. His race for the win is over. Now it's William Byron getting by. Byron, I think, was trailing by about 4.5 seconds. I believe he finished 1.6 seconds back. Fuel saving was looking to be a factor, but everyone really kind of got it pushed to the end. And after the white flag comes out, you kind of know it's over. It is over a lap later, obviously, because the 88 machine, Connor Zilisch, gets the win, locks himself into the 2025 Xfinity Series playoffs, and it is on. It is on. But this was fun, I thought. I would probably give it an 8, personally. I think an 8 out of 10. I think that, all things considered, because of Zilisch making the mistakes, because of him having to try, just drive right through the field, make his way back, have a comeback like that, the race got very interesting. You had a lot of guys up front who were very much in contention to win this race, especially with the 88 out of commission for a little bit. You had a good battle for the win at the end. Unfortunately, the tire issue is what cut that short, but I do believe Zilisch would have had it no matter what. But great run by a lot of rookies. You had a lot of different storylines in this race that you can now follow to Phoenix, to Vegas, and to so on and so forth in the next coming weeks, months of the rest of the season. So again, I was entertained. I thought it was pretty good. There wasn't, those stupid actions where like somebody is trying to restart in 12th, cut across the pack and dive bomb it in the one and take the actual competitors out. I thought a relatively clean race, all things considered. Yeah, I get it. You're going to rub fenders. It's a road course. You're in these cars and not open wheel. Like that's going to happen. That's NASCAR, baby. Like that's how it goes. So I'm all for it, man. I thought this was a lot of fun. Why was Hocevar in the 14? I think it was to get a little more track time, as well as the team probably, I think, needed like a little help from what he said in getting into the race. I think I don't think he would have been a competitor up front, but he probably would have been a competitor for like 10th or so. He would have been right there with like Blaine Perkins and all of them. But overall, I had a lot of fun. Now, the CW. A lot of people want me to talk about the CW. Of course, the big one is a lot of people aren't getting that channel still, which needs to be I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If the CW is to compete with Fox, CBS, NBC, even ESPNs of the world, they need to be on the same page. This stuff about, that all the local affiliates choose their own times and what they put on and whatnot needs to change. That's not how it should be. Next week, I believe the entire Dallas area, like Dallas Fort Worth metro area, might be in trouble of not having the NASCAR Xfinity Series race on. God forbid something around here in Nashville happens and their local affiliate around here decides not to put it on. Like that's going to be something that has to linger in everyone's minds, and you might have to check all year round. And I hate that. That should not be a thing. And it would be amazing if they had an app that could easily stream and they could just put it live like they were supposed to do. But they have not done such. I guarantee you they'd probably add another 100,000 viewers if they put that. I mean, the numbers that have been so far ahead of last year would be even further ahead, I think, if they were to put it on that app. On top of that, the start of the pace laps, at least, not the race itself, had to be moved to News Nation because there was some middle tier basketball game going on that nobody outside of their fan bases cares about, between someone that's ranked and somebody who's not good enough to be. I don't know enough about college basketball to care, but I'm tuning in to see the race, and that's not it's not something that should be that much of a problem. I mean, 4 CW channels. Again, the CW has the opportunity, I think, to assert itself as a sports broadcasting channel on the level of Fox, CBS, and NBC. And until they can get the local affiliates, everyone else on the same page, they're screwing the pooch. We ran into some of these problems. People forget a lot of the times with like Daytona not being shown late in the summer, Xfinity or the Cup race because of certain NFL preseason games. Total BS, in my opinion. Should not be the case. And the fact that we're running into this again early in the season and that some people can't see it, I don't like. Now, the broadcast itself, when it was working, I thought was pretty good. I like the enthusiasm, and it's not just like, joking around and ho-hum and all that. Audio issues, again, are still going to be a problem. I don't think it's at the point to panic yet or to really start getting too upset with that part of it yet. I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're working through kinks. I think it was either McMurray or Kligerman. I think it was Kligerman, where the mic setting was peaking out anytime that he got excited. And I've run into that too. Mic settings can be a real pain in the ass. I will tell you that. As many of you have probably been able to tell by the times my mic peaks out and blows your ears out. But that's something that I'd say by Talladega, this stuff needs to be ironed out. If it's not ironed out by then, I think that's when really fans should start getting upset about it at them. At points, the car audio was missing. I had not had that problem, at least that I had noticed at any point. So I think it was like maybe some specific areas or something had issues where the broadcast would go silent. This is probably I think there was a lap and a half where it just went silent and all you hear is like the shuffling in the booth and stuff you wouldn't hear on the broadcast normally. Those things need to be ironed out. They really do. Again, I want to give them like a month or two of leeway because it is new, because this is NASCAR Productions and not the CW doing it. So if you get mad, don't get mad at the CW channel. They're just basically like broadcasting what they're sent. Get mad at NASCAR. They're the ones doing it. This is one where I think you were justified in getting upset at them. But yeah, I was not really crazy about it. I think this was probably, of the 3 races this year, probably the worst production wise I think it's been so far. I think at one point they went to commercial during Connor Zilich's radio. There's like a mid-race report that was screwing up. A lot of times they're talking over each other. The talking over each other, again, the stuff that of the talent will get fixed as they start working together more. You know, a lot of these people have not worked together before, or at least not on this kind of level. And again, I want to give them a little grace on that. But some of the production issues, it's pretty damning. It's pretty damning. I'd say I'd give it a 5 out of 10 if I had to rate it. Now, if this is Fox, I'm lambasting them. This is awful. Because let's be real, at least Fox has the audio playing. They cover a lot of these bases. This was Fox. We would have, I think, everybody up in arms about a lot of these problems. But again, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, but this can't be a constant at all times. But all in all, pretty fun race. And I had a lot of fun with it today. I like the new layout, the short layout, and it looks like 72% of you did as well to 28%. So we'll end the poll there. Let's get to the final super chats and chill out for a little bit. And then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon and night. Pretty warm, I think, across most of the country. Ross Crash Stain with the 16-month member chat here saying sports ball burnout commercials. Is CW washed? Not yet. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see. Hey, it's my dad. Says that was a great concert. Yeah. So for anyone wondering, I might have to turn the super chat off for a second. This is a concert t-shirt I got actually at the concert. So like in the summer, from the summer of like 2014 or spring of 2014 to like the summer of 2016, my dad took me on the dad band tour, which I guess at this point would be kind of more the granddad band tour. You know, I saw so many different awesome bands. So there's like Motley Crue, you know, watch Vince Neil's Heart Try Not to Give Out, or Iron Maiden, Rush, Kiss, so many other good ones. It was an absolute blast. I remember, I think I've told this story before. I believe it was it the Rush concert? I think it was the Rush concert we went to in 2015 in April, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was that one. And we got home, like the van or the minivan that my parents had at the time had this like problem where like it went out of gear or something. And so we had to go like 30 miles per hour back once we got back to the house we had left it at, because we rode in with some friends. And we got in the house at like 4:35 in the morning. Right, my ears are ringing because you go to a good if you go to a good concert, your ears end up ringing afterwards. Your throat hurts because you're screaming the songs with them. Like that's how a good concert should be. None of this stuff where you're just kind of like mumbling along with it, or you know, like they have to like show on the big boards for you to chant. Like if you go to a good concert, that's how it should be. You know, I get into bed and I have to get up at 7 a.m. because I think I had like the ACTs or something the next day. It's like some bullshit like that. And I did not care whatsoever. Did not care. It was a blast. It is suffice to say they all those concerts were a blast. I don't think I've ever been to a bad concert. Just ones that are better than others that are still good. Ill or 3. Again, I don't know which way you want me to read that one. For the 5 says, I'll say it. Zilisch got lucky after mistakes. Locked it up just like Quapple, punted Heim, and looked like the road course version of Hocevar, but he is great. He did get some luck today. And with a better field tomorrow in the cup side of it, if he makes those same mistakes, he's finishing 25th. Because the mediocre cup road course guys will still, you know, give you a lot of issues. And you have a very stacked field tomorrow on top of just, again, this field just gets better and better every year. Road courses, because you have to now. Andrew Winslow for the 5 says, if you need a random driver to stump Eric and Danny, I would suggest Texas native Crash aficionado Ken Weaver, if you haven't done him already. So I have a planned out ones. Some of them might be easier than others for people. But random driver of the week will be again this Wednesday night on NWP on Eric Estep's channel. So be sure to be there. Episode 301, hang the banner. Let's see, 2 here from Down Maximum Sports Network. On paper, it looks like the 88 dominated and the 1 struggled, but Quapple was just as good, expecting him to dominate the short tracks. I don't know about dominate, but I expect probably a win or 2. I think that is a realistic expectation. He's a hell of a talent, and Junior's got himself a good little driver there. Also for 5 here says Suarez may lose his ride. 18 is way too young to be pushed to Cup. I don't care how good Zilisch is. People are overhyping him like he's a second coming of Petty. The problem is the teams and sponsors, more or less. I've been on record with SVG. I think he should be racing another year of Xfinity and then more part-time Cup this year. Like, I am all for Zilisch staying, but it's like the tea leaves right now look a lot more like Zilisch will be moved up. One way or another, I still think the 99's going to have a different driver. Whether it's like a 1-year sabbatical for Kyle Busch before a better ride he wants opens up, whether it's like JGR or something, whether, that's just him there for a year so he can kind of get somewhere that's not RCR, whether it's somebody else that's just a free agent that's a mercenary for a year, whatever it might be. I do think Suarez will be out of the 99. I don't think it should be Zilisch unless Zilisch just goes out and dominates everything. I do agree. 18, I think, is too young. Look what happened to Joey Logano, who is a hell of a great driver. One of the best modern drivers we have right now, and has the ability to be a top 15 to 10 driver win-wise all time. And you look at how he did with Joe Gibbs Racing early on, and it was mediocre to say the least, best, whatever it might be. Rever Rasheem Hall Stewart with the 2 says, which road course is best in NASCAR? Probably Watkins Glen. That's my favorite. Let me know in the chat what's your favorite when it comes to road courses, because for me it's the Glen. Yeah, I'm like looking at the chat and I see 1 Watkins Glen so far, so yay. Let's see what else we got here. Spencer with the member chat, 44 months. Damn. How about that dump and run on the go-kart track? Yeah, it reminds me of when I was at COTA and I got dumped a lot of times. And like our group was really good out there for the most part. I remember, we had a bunch of people that were running out there, racing pretty hard. And the people that were running the go-kart track thought we were doing too good. So they, and I know I'm not talking to me, I was probably at the bottom half of all of it. It's fun as hell because those go-karts are fast as hell. But they sprayed a bunch of water through the corners and we all went flying. And I can tell you, from crashing at go-karts, they go that fast multiple times. It hurts. I got concussion down in Homestead the weekend that we all went down there. Slight one, not like too bad. Because I got spun out heading into one of those corners and somebody was like going full speed, spun themselves out and hit me and my head whipped around one way. Ask John Ramos, aka Eddie K player, about that one, where we had to make a midnight Walmart trip to get me some stuff so my headache would stop hurting by the time the Cup race started the next day. On top of a Wendy's trip, we did. I think we got like some. I forgot what we got. I don't know. So if you ever wonder why it just seems like, man, his head looks like it's been hit a few times a way that he can't speak, that's probably why. My head's been hit a few times. But that'll do it. I appreciate you guys coming out, hanging out. It is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. We'll be live after the Cup race, about 10 or so minutes, give or take. I believe a double header for the Fox Network tomorrow. IndyCar starting early, 11 a.m. Central Time, noon. I think it's a noon start. So David Land is probably out at St. Petersburg right now, or wherever he's at. And, very happy, good for you, David. Very, very, very good day for him. And then after that, we got COTA right after. So it should be a lot of fun for motorsport fans tomorrow, back to back. So be sure to come on out after the race. We've had an explosive start to the year, and it's been a ton of fun having you guys jumping on in. So thank you guys so much for coming out. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your Saturday evening into night. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.